Good evening, everybody. I'm Adriel. I'm here with Angela Whitecomb,
Hi.
candidate for District 4 of the Oxnard City Council. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Are you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Okay. As you know, this is a crowded field.
Yes.
Many people want this job. What makes you different from the other candidates?
That's an excellent question because apparently not much. Um, we have a ton in common. So differentiation is probably my passions and where I've volunteered. I'm on the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission, and I'm chair of the Downtown Oxnard Improvement Association called DOYA, and I am also the chair of my neighborhood. So I've been volunteering for a long time, a bit like Danny.
Mm.
I also have just been really instrumental in working with nonprofits here in the area. I'm part of Friends of Campus Park, and we're trying to build a new park with it. Obviously, the city's building the park at the old Oxnard High School campus.
Mm.
But we're trying to work with them so that it becomes more of a botanical garden and a natural space. So having these green spaces for me and our community is really important. I think it promotes a strong mental health. And as our city grows and becomes more densely populated, they're going to be at a premium. So having green spaces for our citizens is really key to just making sure that people feel welcome and included in their community. I'm also non-union. It's not that I don't support unions, but I didn't get endorsed, nor did I seek union endorsements. I believe that we need to make sure that everyone in our city has the opportunity for quality work. And sometimes the unions can provide that, and sometimes they lock out other businesses. So depending on which agreements the different entities put in place, there's different guidelines that you have to follow.
And you said your experience in the parks services. What's your biggest accomplishment there? What would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
Oh gosh, getting the grants for Campus Park.
Mm.
That was really huge. Also, the grants for Durley Park. The state passed a bond and to improve the parks around the state, and the city was able to apply and get $6 million for Durley and $7 million or 7 point. I can't remember the exact number. I apologize. For Campus Park, and now the Campus Park has close to $23 million towards building that with multiple grants. So seeing that happen has been really, really something that I don't want to say impatiently, but really excited about coming. It's taken a long time. COVID and inflation didn't help. So, but having that opportunity and building green space, we also were able to buy 2 parcels from redevelopment. The Parks Department was in the Meta District. And that's in the 5 Points neighborhood here in town, over by the Boys and Girls Club and the Mini Mansions Project, Central Terrace. So that neighborhood didn't have any park space at all. And getting those properties is going to guarantee parks for a neighborhood that was just sort of left to its own devices. And a lot of the city felt like it didn't deserve a park because of the high crime rate. But you can change that through activation and bringing community. And they've built a lot of really lovely housing in the Meta District. And there's really nice people that live there, and they deserve to have a place to recreate also.
Yeah, and having served in the Oxnard Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, you know the importance of having a clean environment, clean air. So having that experience, how do you balance economic growth with environmental concerns?
Oh, that's a huge one for me. I'm an asthmatic. So air quality, it affects me immensely, and I can't even imagine what it does for our kids. So I have real concerns about the fields, our agricultural fields, and the pesticides that they spray on those fields and around our community. If you have to wear a hazmat suit to spray something, how is that safe for the community around us? I also have a real concern with our city using Roundup. It causes cancer. The small planes that go over the Oxnard Airport with our airport school, those small planes still use leaded fuel. And what is that doing to our air quality? Not even to mention the amount of cars that we have. And so you have to have a balance. You have to make sure that you're proactive and that you're thinking about these things so that you can make changes. We definitely need to keep working to improve our public transportation, build protected bike lanes, and do it in a responsible, quick manner. E-bikes are coming online. They're getting faster, and the kids that are riding them are getting younger, and they go really fast. I don't know if you've seen them, but they go like 30, 40 miles an hour. Yeah. And if you're in a car and you see something like that coming, your reaction time is going to be delayed. So I fear that if we don't build protected spaces for those types of modes of transportation, we're going to see a lot more bicycle accidents. And we've, all of us, with the white bicycles around the city that mark a fatality, we need to be really conscientious about how we get this done and how quickly we can do it. We might have to become a little more imaginative and use what we have in a way that can fix that. I dream about completely protected bike lanes, but in the meantime, we could do things like change where parked cars are and bike lanes. Right now, you've got the road, you've got a bike lane, you've got a parked car, and you have the sidewalk, right? Or the curb. Well, what if you were to just switch places between the cars that are parked and the bike paths, so that the cars become a natural protected space for the bikes? They're still going to have to worry about open doors. I mean, but there's a lot less passengers than there are drivers. And right now, your chance of getting hit by a door is much higher, if not to mention the oncoming traffic and the distracted drivers.
And all that you're saying is like, it's common sense.
Right.
But there's going to be people who are completely opposed. How do you deal with your opposition, people who are totally against everything you stand for? How do you deal with them?
You have to pick your battles. And you have to know when you're not going to change somebody's mind. But you also have to share that information. You have to say, I hear you. I'm listening to what you have to say, because they might be bringing something valuable that I've not thought of, or I might be able to do the same thing. Say, hey, you know what? Let's look at the goal and let's find something where we can find common ground. And if you can't get past that, you're just going to have to agree to disagree. And that's why there's 7 people on the council, and that's where your vote matters. So you want to build a team, and you want to build trust and understanding, and bring a different area of expertise to we all have different life experiences and come from different places, but sharing that knowledge is really important, and having open lines of communication where people feel safe to have these conversations is very important to moving the bar forward.
Yeah, and as you know, we have a $35 million surplus.
Yes.
The roads, the alleys, they're getting remodeled. So how would electing you add to that success?
Fiscal responsibility. I believe that we need to make sure that every dollar that is spent wisely and in the most efficient way we possibly can. I really like what Public Works is doing by paving the alleys in concrete so that they last a lot longer. I'm a contractor, so I understand a lot about how construction works. I also want to make sure that we hire local, so that our dollars that are spent and contributed by our local population go back to our population and support our local economy. So hiring local workforce is really important for me, and making sure that they're qualified and trained, I want to say pre-qualified, before they can even bid, so that we're getting the best contractors for the lowest amount.
And how would you address disparities in workforce development and ensuring equal access to training and employment opportunities for underrepresented groups?
You have to work with your community colleges. You have to work with your schools. The high schools have wonderful programs like GTech and the other academies, and making sure that once they finish that academy, there's options to go into different things, whether they choose to go through a trade union or a different accredited school for the trades, or whatever their passions are. If they want to go off to higher university, making sure that those roads are clear and accessible is really important. I really like Gabby because she works for the college district and has an understanding on that. And building teams, even with your competitors, is not a bad thing. And I think that we could build community here so that we can support our youth or are working adults, so that they can achieve um, a higher level of education or training, so that they can get better pay and afford to live here, because it's not going to get cheaper. Even with all the building that we need to do, it's Southern California on the beach. It's going to be expensive. So we have to make sure that the people that want to live here have all the tools in the toolbox so that they can stay.
And like I told Daniel,
yeah,
there's a homeless crisis.
Oh.
It's not as bad as it was pre-pandemic, but there's still a crisis.
There is.
So what would you do to help solve this crisis?
You have to work with all the partners. I was over at Mini Mansions. They had a community outreach at the Central Terrace, and you had behavioral health there. You had pharmacies. You had a women's house that takes care of women who are struggling with substance abuse. There's programs like that, and you have to have these programs in place and build them and make sure that they have everything that they need. We as a city, we need to make sure that we have wraparound services. We're building the navigation center with not Many Mansions, but with Mercy House. And so building these communities and make sure that they're spread out throughout the city, not just in one location, but every area of our city, so that the people don't have to travel far for what they need. They can find it where they're at, and meeting people where they're at is important. So making sure that we have the housing stock available is important, and we're going to have to build up for that. We don't want to build out. We don't want to become LA and have urban sprawl and lose all of our beautiful agriculture and everything that makes Ventura County and Oxnard unique. We have to protect that, but we have to build up, and we have to build smart.
Mm-hmm. And as you know, a third of renters in the state spend more than half of their income on rent. Prop 33 gives local communities the power to regulate rent. Do you support this prop, and what would you do as councilwoman to help solve this crisis?
So I voted this morning, and I had a hard time with that one. I had to really research, and I went back and forth because they say, the state needs to do this and the state needs to do that, and local control and you have a real NIMBY system, but we don't, in Oxnard, we don't have the NIMBY system, which it is not in my backyard. For those who don't know what NIMBYism is, I think I voted for it because I think that local control is going to help make Oxnard a better place, and I think we could work with our partners and make sure that we're not always under just what the state says is required. We know our community, and we can work with our community to make it better. It might not be the perfect solution, and I might get backlash for this, but I believe that the goal is to make sure that we have housing for everyone that lives in Oxnard, and having control over those opportunities locally will help with that.
And as you said that you obviously support a good environment, clean air. Doing that is promoting people to use public transportation, to walk, to cycle.
Yes.
How would you promote that? How would you?
Well, I walk to work every day. This is my home. My office is right across the park there. My house is on G Street. So it's really easy for me to walk, and encouraging people to get out in their neighborhoods if they can, to actually walk, but making sure that when you sorry, there was an accident. Making sure that when they do have walk, that there's shade and there's trees and there's parklets with water fountains and things, so that it's something that you want to do, something that's attractive to do, not a long slog that nobody's going to do. I also want to make it so that, like, when the grandmas, you see the shopping carts around all of the things, we need to come up with a program that has a better way for people to walk and shop and then have a return service. I'm working on a solution for that. But just thinking outside of the box is important. Public transportation, they're doing a good job. They're going to a smaller vehicle system, so they can get into the neighborhoods a little more like a transit that's Uber.
Yeah. Maybe
not so personalized, but I think they call it Uber X, where you do the multiple drop-offs, modeling something like that, so that you can use electric vehicles and you are more nimble. I think is important. I also really like the fact that Metrolink has they're going up into Santa Barbara now, and so we're able to connect both to the north and the south. So that commute is really important. It's really nice, and having the bike paths so that people can just use alternate modes of transportation. So, and I like the e-bikes. Oxnard's flat and the weather's perfect. There's no excuse.
And if you win, would you seek the advice of those who didn't win, your opponents?
Oh, most definitely. In fact, we already have a plan. I have a pizza oven, and I already, like, day one when we all met, and I said, hey, I want to have everyone over for dinner, and I want to just, because we all have such great goals and great ideas, and we have so much in common. We have more in common than we have that are different. And I think what we need to do is build that community and say, okay, you bring your expertise and I'll bring my expertise, and we're going to educate each other on what we can bring to our community. Because bottom line, that is why all of us are running. We're all running because we want to improve Oxnard. It's not like you do it for the pay. It's not like we're all egomaniacs that just want to be in front of the camera. I could say that for most of us, I can't guarantee all of us, that's the case. We just want to make Oxnard better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. We have great people, and we want the world to see that. And building teamwork.
Maybe I'm biased because I live in District 4, but I think District 4 is probably the best district in Oxnard.
Me too.
If you could give the viewers like a closing statement, why should they vote for you?
Please, I think you should vote for me because I bring something a little different. I bring a different perspective and a whole heck of a lot of experience. I've been doing things to improve Oxnard for over 20 years. And I have those relationships with the city staff, with the nonprofits, with the different communities here in town, that I can actually start my job running. There's going to be no waiting. And well, like Danny, I have that experience, but I'm a contractor. So I understand what it takes to run a business and what small businesses need to thrive here. And that's something that I bring that's different. And I'm honest, I have integrity, and I am a trustworthy person, and something I pride myself on. So I'm also very accessible. So if you vote for me, I put my phone number on every single one of these so that people will actually call and get involved with their city. Because I think it's not just about me, it's about all of us. And that's what I want to bring to council, is the community working together.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.